So, good evening, Sir Aldi Reyes. So, I am J.R. Mingatuan from section BSMT2, section Bedregues. So, in this video, I'm going to explain my presentation about the marine radar under use in the shipping industry. So, this is the title, Marine Radar Under Use or Uses in the Shipping Industry. So, first, what is marine radar and how it works? So, this is the example of marine radar. So, marine radar is a mandatory aid to navigation. The radar is used in identifying or tracking with integrated ARPA and positioning of vessels, including one's own vessel, among other things, in order to adhere to the call regs so as safely navigate a ship from one point to another. So this is the example of marine radar. Antenna, transmitter, receiver, the flex, and the monitor. So the term radar is an acronym from radio detection and ranging. The marine radar works on the basic principle of electromagnetic waves. The radar antenna sends high speed of electromagnetic waves to establish the location, which is the distance, the velocity, and the direction the wave traveled along the way, with the altitude of the object moving or stationary. Just like this, the radar. Ano yung radar niya? Yung mga distance sa layo, unsay mga na barko, na mga usapan na. And then, uses of marine radar is to calculate the range and bearing of a target, and thereafter use the information to determine speed, course, etc. Integration with other shipboard equipment such as ACDIS to derive precise data. Navigating on vessel and her course with regard to collision avoidance. So, ang gamit pod sa marine radar is kanang dili sa magbangga para mibawan og asa pa yung kung ingani kakusgan na padagana or kakusgan sa iyang dagan magmangga ba may parang and fixing the ship's position. Pasabot na is fix ang yang forma, mubangga ba or likay ra or di muna para mahibawan na to. Fixing ship's position using terrestrial objects such as lighthouses or buoys. Atong lighthouses katong tower siya mura tag taas kina na suga. Lighthouses. Differentiating between targets in high traffic density areas. Determination of weather to an extent used by BTS in controlling coastal traffic. Usage of features such as parallel indexing to ensure safe navigation. Elevating workload on the OOW on the bridge. Use extensively in pilotage that covers the above aspects. So this is how the marine radar looks like. So ang ato own vessel is center. Other vessel mas mo nang around sa imuhang screen sa imong radar. Mo na siya. So, radiation hazards and precautions of a radar. So, the power that radar systems emit varies from a few milliwatts police traffic control radar to many kilowatts large space traffic radar, tracking radar. However, a number of factors significantly reduce human exposure to RF generated by radar system, often by a factor of at least 100. Radar systems send electromagnetic waves in pulses and not continuously. This make average power emitted much lower than the peak pulse power. Radars are directionally, and the RF energy they regenerated is contained in beams that are very narrow and resemble the beam of the spotlight. RF levels away from the main beam fall off rapidly. In most cases, these levels are thousands of times lower than a main beam. Many radars have antennas, which are continuously rotating or varying their elevation by nodding motion, thus constantly changing the direction of the beam. Areas where dangerous human exposure may occur are normally inaccessible in unauthorized personnel. And mostly exposure to ionizing radiation may cause our skin, blood damage, cataract, infertility, birth defects, or cancer. The probability of radiation adverse health effects is proportional to the dose received, but no level of radiation exposure is completely safe. Exposure to ultraviolet or UV radiation can cause skin cancer, skin-borne, and cataract, while lasers can cause tissue burns, eye damage, fire and explosion, and system failures. And so this is the preventive precautions. So preventive measures. So we must use radiation only to cases where the benefits outweigh the risk. Mara gamiton na nato ang radiation in case na natin makuha na outweigh ng mga panghitabo ng mga dili maayo. And then put in place shielding, protective barriers, safety interlocks, warning signs and signals. So magbutang ko na itong mga shield, mga protecting barriers, mga signs, warning signs sa mga tao. Obtain permission from the relevant authority from medical use of radiation and follow the recommendations for the safe use. And then restrict access to areas where radiation is used to authorized persons only. Train workers on safe use of equipment and source of radiation. Organize regular inspection of medical radiation devices by the competent authority. Next is determine the level of exposure of different occupational groups for planned exposure. And then monitor exposure and organize medical surveillance of exposed workers. And encourage female workers to report if they become pregnant and reallocate them to tasks without radiation exposure. And last is develop standard operating procedures for action in case of accidental exposure to radiation. And the last task or the topic is the main features and uses of marine radar in shipping industry. So the use or the main features of marine radar in shipping is the parabolic radar antenna that transmit and receive electromagnetic waves. As far as a target being displayed is concerned, that is basically the wave that bounces off a certain object that paints itself on the PPI or the planned position indicator. The frequency and the time taken by the flashes to return or the reflections to the radar receiver of the ship helps to find out whether the route of the boat can be continued with or not. The transmission and the receiving of the pulse travels twice the distance in going or hitting the target and back. Therefore, the target displayed on the PPI is basically halved with regard to its range. On the PPI, the reflections can be seen so that the identifying the actual distance of the object can be easier. The same paint on the PPI can be also checked for the determination of the bearing of the target. So, ang ako rang nahibawan ani is ang main feature sa radar mainly in shipping industry is para lang ma-relocate o malocate ang mga object like boat or fishing vessels or something na nagtagboat or mga cruise ship na makaatbang malocate gamit ang radar. O shipping industry is nang mura o magkarga og mga kuan like na cargo vessel or mga bulk carrier, dapat doon na ay radar para makita or may bawaan kung imong kaabat asa pa dong mo bangga ba mo or dili, unsa ka kusga unsa ka paspas sa iyang dagan o ang ato ang dagan na kung ano na tayo muliko ta magbangga ba o di. So mo ang use jud dako jud kay tabang ang marine radar para sa shipping industry. Kay ma-avoid na daan o ma-aware na daan ng mga captain or mga kisa pa na tao, mga cadets or shipmate, ma-aware na daan sila na naanay accident may tabo kung kani dili nato ni himuon like paspas kay gadaga ni isa straight ra, kailangan jud ta mo avoid para dili mag-collide o mo collision. So dako jud tabang ang marine radar. And so that's all there, sir. So thank you. By the way, I am JM Nikatuan from section Antares base MT2. Thank you.